Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20 and welcome to a brand new mod spotlight on Hydraulicraft. Ooh, fancy stuff. Hydraulicraft is one of the Modjam winners. I don't know if you guys were paying attention during Modjam, but it's one of those, it's a contest where a bunch of mod developers come together and they have just a couple days to build a mod. So start to finish, get this mod coded, and you kind of have to stream it, and there's a bunch of different rules. But basically, one of the awards of Modjam was that the top 3 winners would have their mod spotlighted by yours truly, Direwolf20. So I'm pretty excited to show you guys Hydraulicraft. Keep in mind, this mod was made in just a couple days. Now, the Modjam contest was a little bit ago, so I think the mod authors had a little bit of time to put some polish on this thing, but it was definitely one of the winners back in when it actually occurred, Modjam. So it's a pretty cool mod. It basically adds a bunch of different machines, and it's all based upon hydraulics and like pressure and all this other cool stuff. So we're going to get started playing around with some of these machines. There's automated harvester, which is really neat, that I'll show you. It's a big multi-block, as you can see, and there's basically power generation and all this cool stuff that you'll check out in just a moment here. So let's get started checking out Hydraulicraft. I'm going to build a new system to demonstrate over here. Alright guys, so the basic concept behind this mod is that of pressure. You start off wanting to use water pressure, but then later on you can upgrade to something better. Your basic pressure systems are built with 3 different types, and there's basically 3 different types of items and stuff that go along with it. So basically you've got low, medium, and high pressure. Your pumps are what's going to generate your pressure itself. It's actually going to use some coal or other kinds of materials to burn up and create all the pressure. And then you've got your vats, which are actually your fluid source for the whole system. So you want to put water in there for now, or like I said, a better liquid later. So this is basically your source of liquid, and this is basically your source of power or pressure. And then also you've got some pipes which you can connect between it, and you want to match them up. So if you've got low pressure pumps and low pressure vats, you're going to want to use low pressure pipes, etc. The more pressure in the system, the faster the machines that are running off that pressure can operate. So basically, once you get up to high pressure, you're going to be able to manage it. So low pressure is pretty straightforward. It's mostly going to use some lower tier materials. You don't have to, it's not so expensive, a little bit of lead and some stuff like that. Medium pressure, that's going to require some more crazy stuff. You're going to need to get into some copper and a low pressure core. And then finally, you've got your high pressure up here, which is another one that's just a little bit higher tier. You're going to need enriched copper for that, and that requires some diamonds. So the higher the pressure, like I said, the more powerful the system. So let's just go off of high pressure for now, so you guys can kind of see what the systems can all be like. And then what we'll do is, we'll start checking out some of the machines. So in order to really get this thing started, your basic beginning piece is you're going to need some liquid. So I've gone ahead and installed thermal expansion here because there's actually integration with thermal expansion, industrial craft, and buildcraft. And before I really get too into it, I should mention that just in my little test environment here, checking it out, I only have thermal expansion. So if you have industrial craft and buildcraft, there'll be a couple other blocks, but you'll see that using thermal expansion as demonstration, it's not too big of a deal. It should be easy to demonstrate for you. So let's get the things we're going to need to get our basic pressure system set up. So first off, we're going to need some water to get started here. So let's get that going. So I'm going to get an aqueous accumulator and a couple water sources to start building up some water pressure. Okay. Once we've got that, we want to pump that into a vat. So let's pump a high pressure vat right here, and you'll see that it's currently got no water in it, but it can store a lot. It can store, what's that, 48 buckets worth of water, so a decent amount of water, not a big deal. We'll go ahead and plug this guy in. Cool. And he'll start filling up with water, nice and quick. From there, we're going to want to set up and start creating pressure with this water. So for that, we're going to need the pump. Okay, the high pressure pump, or the basic pump part of the game, is that it's going to be able to create pressure using any burnable material. So for fun, I'm going to go ahead and throw in some blocks of coal, and that's going to start burning. But you'll see it's not generating any pressure at the moment. We actually have to get the water and the pressure between each other by using pipes. So high pressure pipe goes in between, and then it connects up. And what's going to happen is it's going to evenly distribute the water and the pressure between all blocks in this system. So now that we've got up to 6,000 water in this high pressure pump, it's going to start keeping the surplus in the high pressure vat. And any pressure that gets generated is going to evenly distribute as well. So we've got about 12,000 pressure in here, and we'll see when we jump over here, by the time we got there, we had about 13,000. So all machines and all systems throughout the entire network evenly distribute both the amount of water and the amount of pressure in numerical values, not percentages. So it'll, it's not like, a quarter full and a quarter full. It's, I've got 6,000 and this guy's got 6,000, and then this guy obviously stores more than 6,000, so he's going to keep more. And like I said, the more pressure you have in your system, the faster your machines are going to run. And high pressure generates more. So the final thing to note here, that the amount of power generated is directly related to how much water is available in the entire system. So you need to have a full amount of water in order to generate the full amount of power. If we stop filling up the water by perhaps grabbing a hammer and disconnecting this guy, we'll note that now there's no more water going into the vat and there's no more power gain. So right now we're generating about 81.74 mbar per tick. So that's, you know, pretty high, but it's also about, you know, we're about 80% full of water here. Once we start letting more water in, we're going to be able to get more power, and the max you're able to create is 100 mbar per tick. And that'll happen once this thing is completely full of water. So once this thing fills up completely, then we'll see that we've got 100% power generation, which we're almost at. There we go, and full. And we'll check over here and we'll see that this guy's full. Now, anytime we add any machines to the network, we're going to go ahead and wind up having less power until it fills itself back up. So for example, if I wanted to throw on something like, let's say, the friction incinerator, which is a block that acts like basically a furnace, we'll see here that the whole system needs to redistribute. So we've got a little bit more water in here. This guy drained out, he's refilling. This guy is no longer generating a full amount until the whole system equalizes and we have a full amount of water in there. And then the pressure is also going to evenly distribute. So we've got about 100,000 over here, 100,000 over here, and 100,000 over here. So keep that in mind. As you add machines to the system, it's going to need to redistribute both the pressure and the pressurized water that exists inside the system. So now that we're starting to build up some pressure and some pressurized liquids, what can we do with it? Well, there's a couple blocks that we can start taking a look at. One of them is the crusher. This really shouldn't be too big of a surprise, and what it does, it crushes down your ore and gives you a couple of these chunks of ore. So it's basically an ore doubling mechanic. Pretty straightforward. But again, like I said, the more pressure you have in your system, the faster it'll operate. So if you really get a really powerful high pressure system, it'll run pretty quickly. So by demonstrations purposes, I've got this other system that I set up a while ago that's pretty well pressurized, and we can see that you know, crushing our ore is a lot quicker here. I think I just timed around 5 or 6 seconds to crush some ore with a fully pressurized system, where over here with this crusher, I think it was taking somewhere around 10 to 12 seconds. So much longer when you don't have full pressure built up. So make sure you've got some a good supply of coal, and also a really good supply of water is going to be necessary, because as you might notice, some of these machines actually use up some of the pressurized water in order to get things going. So you can see we're quickly draining out some of the pressurized water as well as some of the internal pressure here. So every time we run these operations, we're draining out a bit of water and pressure. So that's something you're going to want to keep in mind. You're going to need a steady supply of water income. One aqueous accumulator, probably not going to cut it for very long. You're going to need to bump this up pretty quickly. The next guy we have is actually really neat. I like this one because it has a really cool effect on the screen here. And again, once you have more pressure in the system, you're going to wind up with a faster operation. You can check out the recipes here. But basically, go ahead and toss in some stuff, and it's going to incinerate whatever you throw in there and convert it into its ingot friend. So we've got basically right here, we're converting our iron chucks into ingot. It's basically a smeltery, but it has a really cool interface. And all these guys are eye-sided, so you can pump items in and pump items out and all that cool stuff. So those are two of the basic blocks, you know, pretty standard. You're able to process your ores, double them up, and that kind of thing. But you might notice that there's this big old machine staring you right in the face called the washer. This is a multi-block that does require quite a bit of power and liquid, but once you've got it, it's going to help you out a lot. Let's get it set up. We're going to need several things. So what you're going to want to do is basically make a 3x3 out of something called the wall, the Hydraulicraft wall. And it's basically some stone with some lead ingot in the middle. They're not too hard to make, but this is a multi-block structure, so be prepared for multi-block shenanigans. So what we got to do is place those down. We're also going to need a pressure core, and depending on the pressure of your system, you can determine what kind of pressure core to make. I've got everything running on high pressure at the moment, so I'll go with a high pressure core. Cool. And then from there, on one of the sides, you're going to want to place down the block you're going to interact with, and that would be this guy, the washer. The washer is what's going to be used to actually, I think in the end, be able to quadruple your ores once you've really got stuff up and running. The next piece you're going to need is somewhere to plug in your pipes. So for that, we're going to replace one of the walls and place down a hydraulic block valve. That guy goes there. And then if you want to be able to pipe items in and out, you're going to want to head and get yourself some interface valves. These are going to be able to pipe items in and out of your block there. You can get 2 of them in there and you'll be in good shape. And then we've got the washer going. Now this guy is actually a couple things you're going to need to know about the washer. Number one, he needs a separate supply of water. So the pressurized water and the pressure itself are going to be used. And remember, when we hook this guy up, it's going to go ahead and resynchronize the system. So even though I've got almost 1 million pressure in here, once I get this guy plugged in, that's going to drop significantly and redistribute the pressure. And it's also going to start draining some of the water out of the high pressure vat and fill up the water repository right in here. So this guy's nice and filled up. But we need a separate supply of water, like I mentioned. So you're going to need to get yourself some fluid ducts and run them over from here. However, like I said, you're really going to start using up a lot of water in this system. So if I were you, I would recommend just getting a dedicated aqueous accumulator for this. So let's get that set up. We're going to need an aqueous accumulator and a couple water source blocks. And once we place this down, like so, and place this guy into here, you'll see that the interface valves are also used for getting liquids in as well as items. So we'll pump that in there, and we'll see that this water tank starts to fill up with water as well. So again, lots of water needed for the system. Get yourself quite a few aqueous accumulators to really get set up. But once we've got that going, then we can come over here and grab another. We're going to get some more of the iron demonstration. So I'll go ahead and throw this in. This guy's going to process the iron chunks and turn them into iron dust. So take your iron chunks once they're done running, and this actually uses quite a bit of pressure and everything, but there we go. Pretty cool, right? So it's going and taking that and turning it into iron dust, but again, using lots of water and lots of pressure. So keep that in mind. Crazy. And of course, as you can see, you don't always double it, so sometimes you only get 1, sometimes you get 2, and it's using up a lot of the water here, so we have to wait for this internal water tank to buffer up before it can process any more. Let's wait for that guy. It looks like it uses about 10 buckets worth of water, I'm going to say. There it goes. And then once it's used it, it goes ahead and dumps it out there, and we have to wait for more water to pile in. So not always double, sometimes you just get 1, but it is a way to slightly increase the amount of, iron dust that you get. Sometimes, like I said, it'll be doubling it, so you might get quadruple iron in the end, or sometimes you might not. It might just be doubled. Now, when it comes to pumps, you don't have to rely strictly on coal or other solid fuel types. There's a couple other things you can make, like the high-pressure lava pump. This one's pretty straightforward. Just get yourself some lava and pump it up. So if we just place down our high-pressure connector here, you can see this guy is not generating anything until we throw some lava in there. So let's get a bucket of lava, and I'm not sure if I can just click it on. Nope, guess not. So what we can do is just get ourselves a tank. I'll go with a creative tank just to demonstrate for you guys. And we'll go ahead and place this guy right there and place some lava in it. And we'll need that hammer again. And there we go. Once we start pumping lava in there, the next step is to apply a redstone signal. Now, the pump that you guys already saw is the only one that doesn't need a redstone signal. He'll run whenever he wants. But you need to apply a redstone signal to all your other pumps in order for them to start operating. So you can see this guy's quickly generating 80 MBAR per tick. And then as we distribute the water and everything, we'll be in better shape. Now here's where some of the mod integration comes in. This is a nifty component called the high pressure redstone pump. Now there's a couple different redstone pumps that are available. As we can see here, there's the low, medium, and redstone version are all available. What we're going to do is plug this in and we're going to rotate him around to get him to face the right direction. Let's see, I have to right click on the right side there. There we go. I'm pretty sure I connect the high pressure pipe to the side with the glass, and we can see that we've now got some water going in and some pressure, and this thing runs off, you guessed it, redstone flux. That connection has to occur on the other side. So let's get ourselves a creative energy cell just for fun and some redstone conduits. And what we'll do is we'll place down this and this. And we'll see that the redstone flux internal buffer builds up, and this guy will start generating pressure as well. Again, redstone signals. And we're also going to need a redstone signal on this guy, of course, in order to start generating our pressure. So we flip that guy on and we'll see again generating 100 mbar per tick using some redstone flux energy. And of course it is using up that energy, so if we remove the connection there, it is draining that redstone flux. So you're going to need a steady supply of redstone if you want to run this guy off your redstone power. Or like I said, you can use lava, you can also use coal, or you can use, as I mentioned earlier, Industrialcraft and Buildcraft. Both of those are possible integrations that you can do. So I don't have Industrialcraft or Buildcraft installed in this instance, but if you did have them installed, it would add its own special types of pumps. Now on the reverse side of this, you can actually use pressure to generate redstone flux energy or Industrialcraft or Buildcraft energy, and for that we're going to need the dynamo. This guy right here, the hydraulic dynamo, is going to generate some power for us. So let's take a look at it. It's really pretty straightforward. I'm just going to get myself the following items. We'll get hardened energy cell. That sounds like a good time. So run this guy over to here, and then we're going to pump this into here, and then it's just a matter of that. And we'll rotate this guy so that he's facing the right direction and everything connects properly, and then a lever. And ta-da! We're going to start seeing this in a moment starting to build up. There it goes. So the water balanced in, the pressure balanced in, and the dynamo is spinning along, creating, you guessed it, some redstone flux energy. And we can see on the interface here how much energy it's generating. Right now it's sitting right about 15 RF per tick. We're able to generate up to 100 RF per tick, assuming, of course, that we have a sufficient amount of pressure. So again, it's all about keeping your pressure high in your system. The more pressure you're generating, the more stuff you're going to have fun with. And all your machines are going to run faster as a result of having more pressure in them. But again, the more machines you have on the network, the more pressure you're going to need to supply. So a lot of balancing required. Now, once you've got your network pretty well sufficiently built, you might want to upgrade and stop using water, because water is really not that good of a system. We can create some really useful stuff called hydraulic oil. This stuff is going to be cool. So in order to get yourself hydraulic oil, you're going to need a mixer. This guy is pretty important. Once we've got this mixer set up, we need to, like with this machine here, we need to pump in a separate water supply source. So we can see there's a water tank available. And the next thing we need are some seeds. Go ahead and drop your seeds up there, and it'll start slowly but surely producing for you some hydraulic oil. And again, the more pressure you got, the faster this is going to run. And you're also going to want to keep a steady eye on your water supply here, because it's constantly draining water. So this thing is actually going to sometimes get low if you have a couple machines running. So like I said, more aqueous accumulators needed, at least until you've got hydraulic oil. Hydraulic oil is a much more useful liquid to build your pressure systems out of than water is, because hydraulic oil basically doesn't get used up. But you can see it also takes a long time to make a good amount of it. So let's take a look at what's involved. So you cannot have, remember, this entire network is all kind of, think of it as one giant pressure system. Every machine and block shares the liquid inventory here. So in order for us to upgrade this existing system, we'll need to pump out all our water. We have to get rid of it all. So all this water that exists in all our machines and across all our pipes needs to be removed. And you can do that by just hooking up to your high pressure vat here and taking a fluid duct and start draining it out. So slowly but surely draining out all the water from the system will get it working. Let's check it out now. So I've gone ahead and grabbed the nullifier here. It's going to drain all the water out, and I removed the connection from the back. So remember, all the water across the entire network is distributed. So once we drop below about 6,000 in here, we should quickly see the water from everywhere else getting removed. So let's take a look at that right now. Let's see, it might have already started over here. Yeah, see, so this water is starting to drain. And again, once we drop below about 6,000, we'll also see the water from these machines starting to drain out as well. So these have 5,000 each. So again, just keep an eye on all your water. It's all distributed across the entire network. And there we go, just drop below 6,000. So this guy is going to start draining. Once all the water is completely removed from this network, we'll be able to start running off of hydraulic oil. But you're going to need to keep this machine running, of course. So make sure you've got maybe a separate network set up to maintain the production of hydraulic oil that does run off of water. Or, you know, once we do get the hydraulic oil system up and running, we can maybe run off hydraulic oil for this as well. All right, looks like we've almost completely voided the water out of this entire system. Let's see, everything empty? It's getting there. Nice. It does slow down, of course, towards the end, but you'll eventually get to the point where it drains all the water out. Yeah, there we go. Awesome. We're just clearing out the last of the water across all the stuff. Yeah, everything's pretty much empty of water. Now we're ready to finalize this. So once I hook up this hydraulic oil pump in here, I'm going to drain about 64 buckets into the entire system, which will balance out across the entire area here. We'll see it's starting to fill up and balance out to all the different machines that we've got. Hydraulic oil never runs out like water does, so it's actually pretty useful to have a good amount of it because you won't have to build a silly amount of aqueous accumulators and start really getting crazy amounts of water in here. Once you've got this hydraulic oil in the system, it should last forever. So as you can see, even though we've got all these machines running, like the high-pressure lava pump, and the high-pressure redstone pump, and the hydraulic dynamo, all these things that were using up water earlier are no longer using up any of the liquid. The hydraulic oil lasts pretty much forever. So just keep in mind, of course, that it distributes across the system, so the more machines you add, the more hydraulic oil you're going to need to add to keep everything topped off. My recommendation is to really create a lot of this stuff if you're going to have a big hydraulic system. So those are pretty much most of the machines available in this nifty little system, except for this giant machine right over here, which is really cool. The harvester is a giant multi-block machine that harvests and plants crops. You can harvest and plant most types of crops. If you have extra utilities installed, it'll work with ender lilies and a couple other mod-related crops. It's a very cool system. Why don't we check it out now? So before we jump into the harvester, there's two more things I want to show you real quick. We've got the high pressure valve. This guy is basically a high pressure pipe that responds to a redstone signal. So if I get myself a lever here and flip the lever on it, it will activate once the high pressure system is active. It allows pressure to flow. When it's off, it stops the high pressure from flowing, so it doesn't allow pressure through when we've got it there. So you can see the pressure is dropping slowly in the washer because it's not getting any more pressure from down the line. It's broken. Pretty neat. And the other block that I almost forgot about, which is one of the things I like the most about this mod, is really cool, the hydraulic saw. Check this guy out. It's another pressurized machine that runs on some kinds of liquids or whatever, and you're going to need to get yourself, it'll take a second sometimes for it to distribute the hydraulic oil, but once we've got it in there, take a look at what it can do. I'm going to go ahead and drop some stone in. Let's see. It's a multi-block maker. That's right, you can automate the production of your multi-blocks with this, and you can place it on either side. So if we place this stuff over here, it'll chop them into all the different pieces that are available in Forge Multipart. Pretty cool, right? So you can make all your multi-blocks that you want, and it'll cut things in pieces and cut down to panels and covers and all that neat stuff. Gotta say, I really like some of the little animations that occur in this mod when items are going through the saw and stuff like that. It's just cool looking, in my opinion. It's a pretty neat device, and it's eye-sided aware too, so if you pump things into the correct sides, it'll wind up cutting in the correct direction. Pretty awesome. Alright, and now for the crazy multi-block structure. Let's take a look. First off, you're going to want to get started with this guy, the hydraulic harvester. He's going to basically be doing all your work. And you're going to want to place two fences on top of him, so 1, 2. And it might even help if I jump into creative mode here, which I don't usually do in Spotlights, but I do want to show you how this works, and it's easier to do it this way. And then from here, you're going to want to run some pistons. So I'm just going to create a small one, because it is a multi-block, so you can kind of make it whatever size you want. And from those pistons, let's say this is a good enough size right here. Maybe one more. Yeah, that should work. We're going to go ahead and run some fences down here, like so. Cool. And then across from this, we're going to run a couple things, but we want to come over here. Let's say we'll make it this far across. We'll go 3 blocks tall, and on here, we're going to hook up some walls, some of the same walls that we made earlier for the washer. Okay, so you want the walls to map out into the same length as your pistons, and then again, some more fences running down. Okay. Once you've got that set up, you're going to need some harvester frames. Okay, these guys run across here like so, and you're going to want to run them across all the way from one side to the other. And then finally, you're going to need your wheat harvester. And of course, there's a couple different kinds of harvesters here. You're going to want to place them down like there, and you're pretty much going to be set up here. Let's see, did the multi-block farm? Let's see if I forgot something. I might have forgotten 1 or 2 things. All right, quick correction, guys. You do actually need to have at least 4 frames here. So once I place down another row of frames, this guy, there we go, hydraulic harvester is ready to run. We just need a bunch of high-pressure pipes to run over here. And again, like I said earlier, you can, of course, use low and medium pressure, but it's all dependent on how fast you want your machines to run. So let's just break this guy. We don't really need him at the moment. And we'll run over to here like this. Let's jump out of creative mode for a moment, and there we go. So we get this over to here, and we should start seeing some pressure and some hydraulic oil buildup, and then we just need to supply it with seeds, and it'll start planting those seeds for us. Once we've got our land tilled and our water placed down, you do need to basically have the farm set up as if you were going to run it manually, but then it'll handle the planting of the seeds and the harvesting for you. And it's really pretty neat. Once you've got it all grown up there, it'll take care of itself. So if we grow up these bone meals here, we'll see. And then each row, of course, is going to plant its own stuff. That is cool. So this is a multi-block, and I believe the max size of it is 9 by 9, which I think is pretty awesome. That's a good size for almost anything. And with that, I think I've shown you guys everything there is to check out. So keep in mind, this mod was made in just a couple days, which is, in my opinion, incredibly impressive. There's a lot of cool stuff to play with in Hydraulicraft. It's really a neat system, a little bit different. Instead of just like your standard system of power generation and transport, this is actually transporting some pressure and some liquids and a couple other things that are pretty much a lot of fun to play with and mess around with. You definitely want to download this mod and check it out. It's a lot of fun, and there's a lot coming down the line. The mod author has several big plans, much more machines, and a couple other cool things and concepts that I think will work out pretty well in the future. For now, this is Direwolf20 signing off. Hope you enjoyed the mod spotlight, and as always, take it easy.